Pond update time. I haven't done a video in a long time. I wanted to get out before the ice melts. It started to melt. We're in the middle of March here, so it's time for the ice to come off. I wanted to sneak out, drill a couple holes, do a measurement on the depth of the pond. I never did do that in the summer. And I'm going to send down some of my high-tech camera equipment here that you can see. Very expensive underwater camera equipment. Fishing rod and a GoPro housing and a copper pipe and a GoPro housing. The price of copper now, this is actually probably a $4 piece of equipment. This pond is 8 or 9 months old now, so it's old enough where it's settled. It'll be interesting to see what the bottom structure looks like. It's a half sunny day here, so if we get some sun, there's no snow on the ice, so we should get some light down there. And it's not a very deep pond, so hopefully we can see some things. So that underwater video was no good. It was too murky. I waited 3 days now since we took that video, and I'm going to try one last time to see if the water's cleared up. Give it a little bit more time for the dust to settle. It's warm right now and it's going to get warmer. I want to try to punch those holes again and send the camera down and see if it's cleared up, but we do have runoff coming in, as you can see right there. So that's the problem. This is pretty much it for standing on this ice. It's getting warm this week. Tomorrow's supposed to be 12 degrees Celsius, so that's 54 degrees American. So that's pretty much the end of getting on safe ice here, with the sun being so strong this time of year. Up in these northern lakes and ponds, in the winter the warmer water is actually on the bottom, which is different, the opposite of the summer water where your warmest water is up top, warmed by the sun. But in the winter, the ground is warmer than the above ice with the cold weather, so fish are generally laying on bottom or very close to bottom, so we'll send the camera down. I don't have high hopes because it's like finding a needle in a haystack. There's just so few fish in this pond, and I only have a couple holes to drop down on it. We'll see. This is the last chance with the warm weather coming, so I figured might as well do it. It's gonna be a long time till we can walk on ice again. So that underwater video was pretty good. That was a surprise to me. Dropped down 3 holes with the camera and hit fish at 2 holes. The GoPro video, like that's an old 10-year-old GoPro, and the video is excellent on it. The only knock is I can't see what I'm looking at. So at the end, I think there was 5 or so perch, it looked like, came into the camera, and I pulled it up right at the exact moment that they came to look at the camera. Nice to see the weeds on the bottom, some vegetation growing, which will help going forward. Overall water quality looked really good. There's some runoff and some murkiness, but it still has the blue-green aqua color that it had in the summer, which is nice to see. The fish looked healthy. Those were all small fish that I put in. They came in a minnow trap, all the sunfish and perch, so not much past 2 inches when they went in, and it's hard to tell on the camera, but they look like they're growing and eating something, so it was nice to see that the overall water health looked good. So a lot of comments on the pond stocking video, people saying I need more structure for the fish and for bait and for growth in the future. So I tossed a Christmas tree over there, you can see, and these 2 tops of a balsam blew down next to the pond, so I tossed those on. I'm sure these things are going to float. I'm going to guess they're going to float, and I'm going to be cursing at them as I try to sink them to the bottom. So I'll deal with that once the ice is off. We'll see if they float. I'm pretty sure the trees float, but we'll see. I did a video earlier in the winter trying to get a skatable surface on the pond for the kids to skate on. It was a bit of a struggle with the weather we had, a lot of snow, not cold enough temperatures. It was a decent video, not a good enough one to stand alone as a video, but I'll put some quick clips together at the end of this one just to sort of see. We did lay down a nice flood. It looked good there at one point. So I'll keep that going. I also did, we checked the ice, the depth of the pond through the ice. That was big. I never did know the depth of this pond, and it was actually a little deeper than I thought. So you'll see that quickly coming up. And we tossed in the Christmas tree from this year. The COVID Christmas tree is on the ice and hopefully going to sink to the bottom. I'll do a spring update video when the ice comes off, and the plan then will be to get some minnows in here early when the water's still cold so that they can hopefully spawn. I'm going to pick up some larger size minnows, see if they can spawn. These sunfish, these pumpkin seeds, these panfish look bigger than I thought they'd be, so those fish may actually build spawning beds, and we'll see in the spring if that happens too. It would be really nice to get the bait reproducing, to sustain itself long term here. I can't be tossing minnows in all the time, so that's the plan on a next video. Get some minnows in here and hopefully they spawn. So you'll see that coming up here in the spring once the ice is off. We're back the next day. Had a cold night last night, so it froze up quite well. Here's where I fell through yesterday, and it looks pretty hard.
Let's go shovel it off.
Let's go shovel it off. We're going to attempt to shovel it off.
But can I come on?
Yeah, you can come on. The ice isn't as bad as I thought in the center. It's actually pretty smooth. It gets bad on the edge where that rain kind of came in and froze with the snow. Then there's about 2 feet of this very rough stuff that I found yesterday, but once you get past that, it smoothens out. The center of it's quite good actually for quality. There's lots of ice. There's got to be 6 inches of ice.
Hey, I think I see a fish.
You think you see a fish? I don't know. I'm going to put a camera down some other day. Finally got the generator going. Didn't want to start, and the pump is going. Some pump's pouring water out. We'll see how this works. I don't know. Probably going to need a second hole. I know, there's a hole in the hose, and a bunch of dirt came out. We borrowed the sump pump. Dirty. Looks pretty good actually, if I can somehow pull this off. So that's it for today. I actually got some water on the pond and it doesn't look horrible. Not horrible is kind of what we were going for. A half-hour quick flood, it's pretty good. See how it skates on if it can freeze up before the snow. If it doesn't freeze up before the snow, that's going to be another problem. But it's level, it's flat, and it's got some water on the entire surface, so it should be good to skate soon. We may not be able to see too much down there with the camera, but the one thing we can do is check depths, which is kind of nice. You want to borrow someone's measuring tape when you do this. Get it all wet. (7'3". 6'11". 6 feet. So not bad for depth. We had 7'3", 6'11", and 6'2", 6'3", somewhere around there. But one idea that I did like was a Christmas tree. So I got the old family Christmas tree from Christmas, and it's been sitting around the house for 3 months, and we will finally plant it on the pond. It's a beautiful Fraser fir from Nova Scotia, I believe. So that is going to get planted on the pond, and I'm hoping it sinks in the spring. It might float, but I'm going to let this thing go to the bottom and become a minnow and fish and anything else structure system for them. I hope it sinks, but I think it's going to float too. We're going to sink it in the ice, let it melt, and fall into the water and see what happens.